What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. MoBeast here again. The VR showcase just ended about 15 minutes ago. Today's March 11th, 2025. We have over 20 announcements to talk about here for VR. So we have games coming from Flat2VR Studios. We have games coming out this year, in the future, and even a game that shadow dropped today. There's a lot to talk about for VR. I'm super excited. There's some cool and interesting games. We'll talk about some of the announcements and give you guys some idea of what games I'm really interested in and excited for. So let's get to it. So right off the bat, the showcase started off with a game from the creators of Breachers, Triangle Factory, and they're bringing us a game called Forefront coming out this year to PC VR and Quest 3. This looks like a massive multiplayer game. I think up to 32 players, they said. It kind of gives me Battlefield, Call of Duty-esque vibes, and this is something that I've been wanting in VR because we were getting a lot of extraction shooters. If this is like a Battlefield-style game, I think this would be perfect. I think VR needs this, and I really hope this game executes really well because I think we really need it for the multiplayer side of VR gaming. This is one of the games that I'm looking forward to the most. It looks phenomenal, action-packed. I mean, it seems like you're able to drive vehicles, going on different maps, different terrain, use helicopters and everything. This is insane and mind-boggling, and I'm really excited. Next up, we have Hitman 2, World of Assassination, coming to PSVR 2, coming from IOI. I know this game has caused a lot of controversy amongst the VR community. I did not play the Quest 3 version. I know I saw reviews, it wasn't too great. I really hope they do execute on this game because I feel like we really do need a good Hitman 2 game. But we will have to wait and see for reviews. This is something I might pass up and wait for reviews to make sure it's, executed well. Because I know PlayStation doesn't really have a really great VR digital refund policy. So I think I'm going to pass on this one. And next up, we have Reave. They initially started off with just the title of the game. I was a little confused. I was like, this is all we're going to get. Then they actually had the developers talk a little bit about the game. It's essentially a medieval-style multiplayer extraction game with a dungeon crawling aspect where you party up with a bunch of your friends. This is all pre-alpha footage, as you can see on the screen. There's not much details in terms of release date and when it's coming out exactly, but it does look interesting. I feel like we get a lot of extraction shooters, but an extraction dungeon crawler with a medieval style with, Skyrim-esque, gameplay, that would be pretty cool, but we'll have to wait and see for that. But I'm excited and interested to see what they bring to the table. Next up, from the creators of The Room VR, we have a game called Ghost Town coming to all platforms, I think this fall. It does look like a fun adventure horror-like puzzle game. It's not going to be one of those horror games where it's, super scary where you're going to poop yourself, but I do enjoy some single-player horror games to fit the Halloween vibe. And I really hope that they make the puzzles a little bit more difficult because we get a lot of these type of games where the puzzles are too easy and it's just more of a walking sim atmospheric. They play into the whole paranormal side of the story, so that was pretty interesting. So as long as the puzzles and the environment's pretty good, I think this game would be pretty solid. Next up, one of the biggest highlights of the show, and I think a lot of us have been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. From the creators Return to Rapture, the Half-Life Alyx mod. They are releasing a Dead Space-like sci-fi game coming to Quest 3 first, and then PC VR coming out this fall, September 2025. They announced this, I think, a year or two ago, and it got really everyone excited. And I know Mike VRO is a part of this project, so congrats to him. This game looks super awesome and exciting. This is one of the highlights and the things I'm looking forward to the most. I've been craving for a game like this, kind of that sci-fi horror. And I feel like this genre isn't tapped into a lot. I know we just got Alien Rogue Incursion, but to give, more of it, I think people always want more of this because there's not much out there. There's so much in VR to tap into in terms of genres, and this is one of them. If they execute this right, this is going to be a banger, and I'm super excited because I want to be haunted, chased, and have limited resources, and I would hope this game would have a little bit higher difficulty because that definitely adds to the immersion and the scariness of the game. After that crazy announcement and release, they talked a little bit about the Breachers update coming up for everyone. If you're a fan, you'd be super excited. They're going to be adding a lot more tools and weapons to the game. So, if you're a diehard fan and a player, be super excited because it's always good to see, one of your favorite games to always be supported, especially when they're multiplayer and they're live service. It always keeps the game alive and the platform alive. If you're a fan of action roguelike games, you should be excited for the game called Zix. It's a multiplayer action roguelike coming to Quest 3 and Steam this fall in 2025. It really caught my eye because I enjoy the art style, and this game looks pretty interesting. It's super fast paced, and I think it offers something a little different, so I'm pretty excited for it. If you're already a fan of Vendetta Forever, it is coming to PC VR this year, May 8th, along with a bunch of new levels. And those new levels will also be coming to other platforms if you already own the game. So if you're already a fan, be excited because we're going to get those high quality and high FPS, action-packed Vendetta Forever gameplay. Speaking of games being ported over to other platforms, Underdogs is coming to PSVR 2, along with haptic vibration support, which is super awesome to see because I don't feel like a lot of VR games and on PSVR 2 take advantage of that. It's coming out this month, March 25th. So if you're a fan of Underdogs and you want the haptics feedback aspect and feature, you should be excited for the PSVR 2 release. If you're a fan of the horror genre, be excited because we have Slender: The Arrival VR coming out in spring 2025. This game was announced beforehand with not much info or a release window, so now we finally got that. The game looks pretty scary and fun. I'm always love some horror games. I ideally would want it to come out in Halloween time. I feel like that'd be better for sales, but hey, why not? I'll take it early and I'll play it now, and I'll probably play it again later, or I'll just play it then. But if you're, like I said, if you're a fan of the horror genre, you should be excited. If you didn't know already, we got the announcement for Gorn 2, I think last week, but they showed it here on the showcase to show more gameplay. It still looks super over the top, action-packed, and a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of the first one, you should be excited because it's coming to all platforms. There was no release window or release date announced here, but it still looks a lot of fun and super excited, so stay tuned. Next up, this game got me super excited. It's one of the highlights for the showcase for me. It's called Exoshock. It looks like a boomer shooter co-op game. It's supposed to be inspired by games like Halo, and it's a shooting style game. And they are having a closed early access for people who join the Discord, which I'll try to be joining and get some access to and cover it. It's coming to Quest 3 and Steam, but this looks super sick. I got super excited. It is one of the games I was watching that it just caught my eye. I was like, yo, this looks super awesome. I just really hope it delivers based on how the trailer is. And, this is all, again, this is going to be, early access footage. And if it gets better than this, I can't imagine how the actual experience is like. So I'm going to try to get my hands on the closed early access. If you guys are watching it, hit me up. But I'm going to contact them on Discord. And if you are interested, do the same thing. But this game looks phenomenal. From the creators of Winland 1 and 2, SciTech Games comes out with a new IP called Titan Isles. It's coming to Quest 3 and Steam. It's a co-op adventure game. They always focus on games where you traverse the area and the map and with a bit of shooting elements. And it definitely looks a lot of fun, especially that it's multiplayer. And these type of games is always nice to switch it up from the typical shooters and horror games. And I feel like having that variety in games for VR is definitely a positive, and I'll be definitely checking this out. Next up, to end the show, they started off with the Flat2VR Studio section where they announced all the games and projects they're working on. This game, Shadowgate Mines of Mythrock, is now coming to PSVR 2. It was released on PCVR in 2022, I believe. And Flat2VR always does a pretty good job, bringing flat screen games to VR, having projects like this where they port over to different platforms, and I feel like they do a phenomenal job, and this is something really good for a lot of PSVR 2 players because the more games the better, and it shows a lot of support for the platform. And maybe Sony will see, hey, there's still people interested in VR, so let's get going and start creating more first-party games. Next up, we finally got more gameplay footage of Roboquest VR. This is initially a flat screen game that came out in 2023 with insane positive reviews on Steam, and it's super exciting that it's coming to VR because the art style and the crazy fast-paced action-paced gaming and shooting looks awesome. The art style itself to me is phenomenal, and imagine this in VR. I'm super excited. And at the end, they announced that it's coming to all platforms with no release date, but they did announce also that they're working on a co-op mode for this. No details on that, but this game is super exciting. I think everyone should have this on the radar because this is going to be a bang. I'm a huge fan of Little Nightmares in that game. It was so fun. I played it with my family and we were all watching it, and it was one of my favorite smaller games. And there's another game coming out called Out of Sight, which isn't even released yet, but Flat2VR Studios announced that they're going to be bringing this to VR. And I feel like games like this are perfect for VR. Essentially, you're helping this character traverse through the world through a dark world fantasy. You're essentially, you know, if you understand Little Nightmares, you understand what they're trying to go for here. But being the eyes for that character in VR and probably interacting with the world is going to be so awesome. I believe it's coming to PSVR 2 and Quest. No announcement of Steam VR yet. Next up, if you're a fan of space sims, No Man's Sky, and sci-fi, this next one's for you. Surviving Mars Pioneer comes out in 2025 in early access. It's a reimagining of a city builder game, a top-down city builder. So to me, that's super unique to see what Flat2VR Studios brings to the table. I'm super excited and will plan on playing this for you guys on the channel. The last announcement Flat2VR Studios had in collaboration with Team Beef, they're bringing a game called Postal 2 to VR. Now, I've heard about this game, and I know it was a controversial game back in the day, but they're porting it over to VR, which I think is really cool because it has the old graphics look, and it's just over-the-top action, and it's a controversial game. I've only heard about it, and I've never played it, but I'm excited to visit it in VR because I feel like with the comedy for the trailer and kind of gave me an idea of what the game is like, I feel like this is something that would be fun to mess around with, and I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, there is no release date, but it is coming to Quest 3, Steam, and PSVR 2. And that wraps it up, guys. That ends the show. They did announce that in August they'll be bringing a lot more games and a crazier lineup. But comment below what games you're excited for, because I'm super excited. What games you're not looking forward to. Name your top 3. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see on this channel. Thank you guys for the support. Take care and stay in VR.